Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Wasn't it good to worship the Lord together? Always good stuff. Yeah. We appreciate all the hard work that our worship teams put into that and so forth, how good it is to worship together. Hey, I do want to make a very important announcement. This may be the most important thing you hear all day. The most important thing you hear all day is the next time that we gather together, I will have entered the ranks of being a grandparent. So that's pretty cool. We're excited about that. So the due date's tomorrow. Little Julia, the due date's tomorrow. The doctor told us that if Julia decides not to come on her due date, that he will assist her, and she will be here by no later than Wednesday night. So, the Bennett home's going to be in a little turmoil this week, so pray for us and all of that, and family traveling in and all sorts of stuff that's going to happen. So, but good. We're excited about that. Big week. And here's another thing that's pretty cool is that, the media, right? We've been talking about the media. And the screen is in, the big screen's in behind us, and they've been testing the projectors on the big screen. And so next Sunday will be the first time we use the big screen. Back here will be our new media. The sides aren't yet new, right? Because we're trying to raise the funding for the wiring and the mixer and the cameras and then some other features that have to go along with that. But anyhow, next week the middle will be new, and so I'll probably have a picture to show you Julia when she gets here, and then we'll get to show her in a big new screen, and then I'll tell her we put in a whole new media system just to show your picture. I'll tell her that her whole life, so that'll be cool. But we're looking forward to that. So, but good. Now I do want to say this. This is for us, right? This is like a teaching moment for us, a focus moment for us. Is a lot of times when we see things happen physically, because we're visual people, right? We see something change physically. We're talking about the new media that's going in. We're talking about the building program. When we hear those things, and because we're visible people, we're visual, what happens sometimes is when we see something change physically that's big, we can go, oh no, what's changing? What's changed in what we value? What's changed in what we're doing? What's changed in how important the priorities are? And if the priorities shifted? This is what you need to know. We are the same after the media as we were before. We care about the same things. We evangelize the same way. We reach out to people the same way. In fact, most people don't realize this, right? Most of us don't even realize what we do. But on an average month, through the giving of the church, that we support right at 600 children that are outside of this facility here. So, when you include our orphanage and child development center in Rancho Arriba, when you consider the new ministry in the Congo that we brought online during our last missions last month, when you include the village Norristown, and when you include that this week we're starting our new child development center down in Panama, in El Progreso. And yesterday I prayed with 25 of us as 25 of our folks were getting ready to head out. In fact, they're probably in their second worship service today already. I think they're going to 3 this morning. But they're down there and beginning that ministry. And so that's powerful stuff. So, we are committed to caring for people, loving for people beyond our walls. And that doesn't even include the hundreds of children that we impact on a weekly basis here through Upward and through our regular service ministries. We're committed to sharing who Jesus is, and that never changes. So know that, because right, sometimes you see something change and you're like, oh no, and you think the narratives change or the priorities change, and they haven't. We're the same people today as we were yesterday as far as loving the Lord and growing close to Him and telling people how good God is to us. So, we are in our last teaching on sheet music. God's design for us to make beautiful music together. And where we've journeyed this month is we talked about why marriage matters to sex. Then we talked about why sex matters to marriage. And then today, we're just going to do some straight talk to the husbands and then to the wives. Just some straight talk. And the way it's going to work is I'm going to talk a few minutes to the men. And ladies, you get to sit in and you get to hear what we talk about, right? But then Pastor Kelly's going to come up and she's going to talk a few minutes to the ladies. And men, you get to hear what Pastor Kelly says to the ladies. Now, here's the big temptation. The big temptation is going to be that you're going to go home this week, and men, you're going to want to quote Pastor Kelly to your wives. You're not allowed to do that. And women, you're going to want to quote me to your husbands. You're not allowed to do that. See, because I'm going to talk to the men, and they can quote me to themselves over and over again, but ladies, you can't quote me to them. And men, Pastor Kelly's going to talk to the ladies, and the ladies can think about and remember what she said over and over again, but you are not allowed to say what Pastor Kelly said to your wives this week. That's for them. Now, you get to listen, and you get to learn, and you get to grow, but you don't get to use the information as weapons or otherwise against each other. Because here's our goal. Our goal is to bring our husbands and our wives together into a mutual place of sacrifice and service when it comes to sexual intimacy. We want you to land in a place of mutual sacrifice and service when it comes to sexual intimacy. So that's our goal. So I'm going to talk to the men. Pastor Kelly's going to talk to the ladies. And we're going to learn, and we're going to grow, and we're going to make beautiful music in God's design. Let's pray together. Jesus, thank you for your presence in this place. Thank you for your goodness and your grace and your mercy and who you are to us. We love you so much. Now, Lord, thank you for sex. Thank you for marriage. Thank you for covenant. Thank you for partners to share our life with. Thank you for the power that you put within this wonderful gift, Lord, to unite us. And Lord, help us, each one of us, to come to this place of mutual sacrifice and service, one to another, husband to wife, wife to husband. And Lord, help us today. In your name, amen. So men, 3 very simple points for you this morning. 3 very simple points. Here's point number 1. Men, you need to let your relationships with your wife be about more than just sex. Let me say that again. Now men, you know what I'm talking about. You need to let your relationship with your wife be about more than just sex. Now, God created us incredibly different. And just to prove my point this morning and what that means and the power of that is I have some actual medical scans here. Scan of the male brain and the female brain. And you're going to see incredible differences when these scans come up. But this is medically proven fact. And so as these scans come up, I want to teach you the difference between men and women. So let's have these medical scans come up here. Okay, so you see these scans, right? And men, you're obviously on the right. And you will notice that you have a huge part of your brain that's dedicated towards sex. I mean, you can't help it. God created you this way. This is medical fact, right? And then you go over to your spouse's brain, the female brain, and there's not even a neuron that's dedicated towards sex. You are created incredibly different. I mean, you're dominated by it. And man, even her section on chocolate is like, whoa, it's like incredible. But there is a difference between men and women. In fact, this may be hard to believe, but when most surveys are given about what the most important thing is in their marriage relationship, do you know what is number 1 for men? Men, what is number 1 unrivaled? Do you know what it is? What is it? It's sex. I mean, unanimously. Sex is always number 1. It's number 1 in every survey, every poll they take when they ask men, what's the most important part of your marriage relationship? Sex is number 1. Do you know where it lands on the women's list? On your wives' list? It lands somewhere in the 20s. And I know what you men are thinking. You men are thinking, she has 20 things on the list? Are you kidding me? Because we can't come up with more than 5, right? I mean, we've got sex, then we have foreplay, then we have food, and then we have sex. And we're like, how do you come up with 20 things on the list of priorities in your marriage relationship? But we are created incredibly different. And that means we're different in our views about sex. We're different in our motivation towards sex. For instance, guys, you know this about yourselves. You are visually stimulated. You are. You can't help it. You're just created that way. And I mean, man, your wife doesn't even have to doll herself up. All she has to do is wake up or move her arm and your motor's going. I mean, she has to give very little effort towards you. And man, all of a sudden, boom, you're ready to go. She is not built that way. That's not the way she's built. I get that sex is very physical for us, right, as men. Sex is very physical. And the reality is we feel most connected, right? We feel most connected and intimate with our wives after we've had sex. I mean, after the act of sex, man, we feel connected and we feel intimate relationally. And it's after that. Like sex is almost our pathway to intimacy with our wives. Well, our wives are like exactly the opposite. Like their sexual intimacy, for them to be involved sexually, they have to feel like intimate first. Like they have to feel connected and bonded before that time. And I mean, it's like wow, we feel most intimate afterwards, and they feel most intimate before. That leads them and spurs them into the activity. And so I don't know why God created us so different. But maybe for us to like practice patience and for us to grow in character and in meaning and service and sacrifice to each other. But here's what I want to say to you, men, in this reality of like, you know, making your relationship about more than just sex. And what I want to tell you is pursue your wife. Now, when I say pursue your wife, I don't mean chase her around the house and things like that, right? Like the normal thoughts of pursuing. What I mean by that is pursue your wife by ways that are important to her. Like ask her about her thoughts and her feelings. Don't just talk to her about what happened in the office or sports, you know. Talk to her about some things that she cares about. What are her thoughts? What are her feelings? How did her day go? Romance her in the ways that are important to her. Right, and then every spouse, every wife is different, right? Every lady's different. So figure out what it is. For some it's flowers, then bring her flowers. For some it's chocolates, bring her chocolates. For some it's a trip to the mall, then go to the mall. For some it's a weekend away, just the two of you. Then plan the weekend away, and you plan it. You know, that's an arrangement and an agreement Dora and I have had for decades. Is that we will have our romantic rendezvous together, but we will have them when I plan them. And so like every week we're going away somewhere. No, I'm kidding. But I take responsibility to plan those romantic rendezvous. So like a week ago or so, I told you we had gone to Lancaster for a couple days, and like I made the reservations, and then we went to a show, and I got the tickets for the show, and I'm talking to Dora about planning out the week, and I plan it all out. I do that, right? I do it because I love her, and I'm pursuing her in that. And then I talked about spicing up your relationship last week, and anyhow, one of you said to me after the session, you said, "Yeah, I know where you were in Lancaster, and it wasn't where you insinuated you were." And I go, "What do you mean?" They go, "I know you spent the majority of your time at the outlets." And he was right. I mean, I spent the vast majority of my time at the outlets. Right, in the parking lot of the outlets, and the women's shops at the outlets, and the kitchen stores at the outlets, and yeah, but that was part of the pursuit, right? It's not that I care about those things, but I care about her, and that's part of the whole pursuit. And so pursue your wife by helping to clean the house, by sharing responsibilities proactively, by helping to take care of the children. Pursue your wives. 1 Peter 3:7 says, "Husbands, in the same way be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with respect as the weaker partner is heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers." Peter says, be considerate. Be considerate of your wives. And Hosea chapter 2, right? And we know the issues that Hosea and Gomer had as Gomer wasn't faithful to Hosea. But listen to what Hosea says, how he intends to reach her. He's like, "I'm now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness, and I will speak tenderly to her." Use tender tones. I don't know that I'm the best at this, and I know I need constant reminder, but use tender tones. Right? Don't raise your voice. Don't be sharp. Don't be abrupt. Use tender tones and express your love in your words. Now, man, I don't know if you saw this during the Super Bowl or not, but there was a great gift given to you at the Super Bowl about your relationship with your wife. And I don't know if you saw it, but there was a lot of reality in it. There was a lot of truth in it, a lot of instruction for you. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you that again. And remember, the first time it was shown was at the Super Bowl, right? Right in the middle of this event where it's all about football. But watch this. Watch this incredible instruction and learn from it, because this is like real life.
Got what you want, got what you need. Live your dream, but be your fantasy.
Sarah? Clean enough?
Great instruction. Pursue your wife with a mop and a bucket. I'm telling you, they're great tools. So here's another word, man. Here's another word for you. Manage your expectations. Manage your expectations. The world presents to you an unrealistic concept about sex. And this is what I want you to hear. Don't take, when your wife communicates to you that she's not in the mood, don't take it personal. Right? I mean, listen, real life happens. There's real stress, there's real children, there's real exhaustion, there's real emotions, and you need to respect real life. So don't take it personal if she communicates to you in some way that she's not in the mood. And I get it, right? Sex is number one for us, so sex is personal to us. It matters to us. And I know that when your wife isn't in the mood, that you can feel hurt or you can feel rejected. And we don't ever like to portray that. We don't ever like to portray that our feelings are hurt or that we're rejected because we try to be tough. But it's true. We get hurt and we get rejected when our wives aren't in the mood. And some of us, because of the hurt and the rejection that we felt, some of us have stopped pursuing. We've stopped pursuing our wives because we're like, we don't want to make ourselves vulnerable because we don't want to be rejected. And that's not right. I mean, we should continue to make ourselves vulnerable. We should continue to pursue her. And some of us have even like sought satisfaction someplace else in other ways. And that's never okay. Man, we pursue our wife. Listen to what God's word says about our wives and the sacredness of that bond together and how we're supposed to feel about each other. Proverbs 5 says, drink water from your own cistern, running water from your own well. Should your springs overflow in the streets, your streams of water in public squares? Let them be yours alone, never to be shared with strangers. May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth, a loving doe, a graceful deer. May her breast satisfy you always, and may you ever be intoxicated with her love. Be intoxicated with your wife, and pursue her, love her. And then Pastor Kelly's going to come on up, and she's going to talk to the ladies for a moment. And this is my last point. I'm only going to say just one sentence about it, is that this. Men, make sexual intimacy mutual with your wives. Just make it mutual. Pastor Kelly.
Thanks, Dave. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pastor Kelly. For those of you who don't know me, my role here is I am over Connect Groups, Support Recovery, and our Counseling Center. And how do I get roped into talking about sex? I don't know. I guess I'm a woman, I'm a wife, and I have had sex. So here I am. I'll never forget my oldest. We have 3 children. My oldest, who is 21, when she was about 9, and we were having the sex talk, much to her horror, she discovered I have had sex at least 3 times. So here I am. So let's talk about it. So sex is a pretty hot topic, is it not? It can either be the source of great pleasure or it can be the source of great strife. And whenever husbands and wives start talking about it, it typically ends up in an argument, does it not? And I wonder why. I think that maybe there are two factors that lead to why sex is such a hot topic for us. I think the first one is we all have baggage. We all bring something forward from our sexual experiences, whether they were experiences that we had before marriage. We bring them with us. We bring the imprinting, the images that we have in our mind, the effect that it had on us forward into our marriage. And maybe for some of us, they weren't good experiences. This is why God couches sex in the safety and the covenant of marriage, to protect us from these things happening to us. This is why we are told to wait until it is within the covenant of marriage. And then also maybe we bring some things back that were inflicted upon us. And if that is the case for you, I am sorry that sex was that for you. There are many of us who have had bad experiences, and I want to encourage you to get help if that is the case. God has put great counselors and people here wrapped in flesh to be his healing for you in that, and I want to encourage you to get help in that. Or maybe it's just simply that wasn't what was modeled for you. For example, my parents are celebrating almost 50 years of marriage together. Now, affection was not modeled much in our house. Unlike my daughter, I'm pretty sure I have one sister, I'm pretty sure my parents had sex twice. But that, I have no doubt that they are committed. My dad is beautifully taking care of my mom who has Alzheimer's right now. I do not doubt his love and his commitment for her, but affection is not something that comes easily for me because it wasn't modeled for me. So let me tell you what, Scott's love language is affection. Imagine the struggle and the strain that we have had in our marriage because it doesn't come naturally to me. I have had to stretch and move outside of my comfort zone and what I know. And sometimes I do it well, and sometimes I don't do it so well. But these are the things, the baggage, that we bring forward with us into our sex life. The other thing is I think that we've become pretty self-focused. And that's easy for us to do. We're humans. We're kind of made that way. We are very focused on ourselves and our needs. How many of us have said, I have a headache, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I'm too fat, I'm too whatever. It's I'm. We become very self-focused on ourselves and we forget our spouse's needs and then even what God is calling us to do. So ladies, Scott and I laugh, we call these our, there are lots of words for goggles. Scott and I call them our love goggles. He doesn't matter if you're feeling like you're too fat or too tired or a hot mess. To him, you're just hot. They're just excited that we are responsive to them. We need to move outside of ourselves and put our spouse's needs first. We need to remember what it was like back when we were dating. Do you remember that feeling that you got, those butterflies, that heartbeat when you knew that you were going to see him? How many of us would say that we feel that way right now about our spouse? Let's look at Song of Solomon 8, 6, and 7. Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm, for love is as strong as death. Its jealousy unyielding as the grave. It burns like a blazing fire, like a mighty flame. Many waters cannot quench love. Rivers cannot sweep it away. Ladies, Pastor talked earlier about for the men to make your marriage more than sex. Lady, I challenge us to make our marriages more about sex, to get back to feeling this way about our spouses. Remember those quirks they had when we were dating and we were like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's really sweet. And now we're like, that is the most annoying thing ever. Last night I was talking to Scott before I came to talk last night, and I said, could you remind me, did you have any quirks that were really cute earlier when we were dating? Now I'm totally annoyed. And he goes, really? You want me to enumerate the things of myself that totally annoy you right now? And I said, well, yeah. And he said, and then my phone rang. So I had to get it. I walked out. I came back, and my French fries were gone. My French fries. I had them on a plate. I had hot sauce. They were all ready to go. And I walk in, and he's got the last one. And I said, where did my French fries go? Where are my French fries? And he said, talk about this face right now, this face that you're giving me. Because remember, dating, I would have been like, oh, I don't eat French fries. You can have them all. Now I'm like, where are my French fries? Where are my French fries? So he said, talk about this face right now, this face. Talk about it. Ladies, we have to get back to how we felt about our spouses when we were dating. One more thing I'm going to challenge us on. Many of you maybe have seen this on Facebook. Ladies, it's important. We need to do this for our spouses. It's coming. Ladies, get the chainsaws out. I know it's been cold. We have kept them hidden under long pants, thick pants. Ladies, get the chainsaws out. Take care of those fuzzy caterpillars for your husbands. It's important. God created sex not just for procreation, but for enjoyment. It is a gift that he has given us. He wants us to enjoy it. And ladies, it's a mindset. Those, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, my to-do list is this big, it will always be this big. We will always have too many things to do. We will always be too tired. We will probably be a hot mess a lot of the time. But it's a mindset, ladies. It is a mindset to be there for our spouses. Our children need a committed mother and father above all else. Above a clean house, above getting where they need to be, above a perfect anything. They need a husband and wife, a mother and father that love each other and are committed to each other, and that is modeled for them. Second point that Pastor made earlier, manage your expectations. Ladies, I get it. Life is absolutely crazy sometimes. Like I said, I have 3 children, and at one point I was dealing with nursing one, toddler running around, and my oldest just telling me she had just gotten her period. So I was stretched up to here with the motherhood issues. I get it. Life can be totally crazy. And we can, and we do, say no. And that's okay, ladies. We can say no. However, I think it's in how we say it. How many times have we said no? No, no. I challenge us, ladies, to maybe change that a little bit and say, not tonight. How about tomorrow? Let's plan something. We need to change how we are responding to our husbands. Our husbands find their validation and their security in the safety of marriage. Out there, they are hunters, they are gatherers, they are the strong ones. But it's only in the safety of a marriage that they are really vulnerable, that they can show their insecurities. And ladies, we hold that in our hands. And how we respond to them really impacts that for them. So I want us to try to commit to being present, to saying yes. And ladies, trust me, I know, been there. Do not commit and say, sure, just get it over with. Ladies, don't do that. Don't do that. You are not going to enjoy it. They are definitely not going to enjoy it. Commit and be present. It is important. Intimacy is not just about sex. It's about wanting to do something for your husband. It's about wanting to connect with him. It's about saying yes and meaning yes and putting yourself aside. It also involves softening our hearts towards them. Luke 6:45 says, a good man or woman, a good woman, brings good things out of the good stored up in her heart. An evil woman brings evil things stored out of the evil stored in her heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Ladies, what would your words show that your heart is full of? I know it's easy in this crazy life and in this crazy world to get harsh, to get critical. But what if we softened our tones towards our husband? What if we had kind words to say? Dave talked about it earlier, to speak with kindness and gentleness and love. Ladies, we're called to do the same thing. Our words indicate what our heart is full of. And we need to be able to be soft. We need to manage our expectations of our husbands. Lady, no husband is perfect. I get it. Choices are made, fights happen, words are said. Been there, done that. But no one is perfect. We are not perfect. And we have to remember that. We have to try to respond to them in grace, in love. Third point that Pastor made earlier that we're going to spend some time on today, ladies, make sexual intimacy mutual. All right, ladies, I'm going to say something that is a little hard here. Sexual intimacy, I believe, is not mutual. Ladies, I believe that it is a power struggle, and we hold most of the power, right? We control whether or not we have sex. We do. Our husbands pursue, and we respond. The control and the power is in our hands, and that is not fair. We need to even out this power struggle that we are having. They pursue, they initiate, and we say yes or we say no. They put themselves out, as Pastor mentioned earlier, in that position of vulnerability, in that position of asking. Do we do that? Or do we like being pursued? Do we like having that power, ladies? Are we willing to put ourselves out there in a position of vulnerability and initiate intimacy and care for our husbands. And I think, ladies, sometimes, and I speak from personal knowledge, sometimes it is easy to abuse the power. How many of us use it as a punishment? How many of us use it as a tool for manipulation? How many of us withhold, or we do because we think we can manipulate behavior? Think of it this way: if you had a birthday gift for your child, you wouldn't say, "Hey, Johnny, I have this gift for you, but you know what? I have been really unhappy with the way that you've been acting these last few days, so I'm not going to give this to you for a week. Sorry." Or, "Johnny, I have this great gift for you, but I'm not going to give it to you until you do X, Y, and Z perfectly to my expectations, and then you can have it." Ladies, that is not how God wants us to use this gift that He has given us. This is not what we are to do with this power struggle that we are having. We are called to mutually yield to one another, to not misuse our power, to not allow that tension in the power struggle to happen. I think that's why arguments ensue when we start to talk about sex, because we can feel that pull happening. We can feel that power struggle happening. We need to consider mutually yielding to one another. Dave talked about a verse earlier in Peter that husbands, be kind and gentle to your wives because they are the weaker partner. I want to challenge us in that. I think we are both weak partners, and that's where God's power and God's strength and God's love comes through. In our weakness and in our vulnerability and our willingness to mutually submit and yield to one another instead of having this power struggle. I want us to consider another verse, Romans 12, 9 and 10. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourself. Ladies, what would our marriages look like if we went above and beyond to outdo our other in love and honor? To outdo each other in showing kindness and showing love, in mutually yielding to each other. What would that do to our marriages? What would that do to our sex lives? What would that do to our families and the atmosphere that we have in our home? Ladies, I know that the men are the spiritual leaders of our household, but frankly, we steer the ship, don't we? Our attitudes, our mindsets, the mood that we are in for the day steers our home ship. What if we try to outdo one another in being devoted to each other? 1 Corinthians 7, 3 and 4, the husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but yields it to her husband. In the same way, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but yields it to his wife. Imagine marriages that mutually yielded to each other. Now, I know that there are some of you saying, but you don't know. You don't know my husband. You don't know what I've been through. I do. I have a husband. He may not be the same as yours. We may not have the same issues, but we have issues. Everyone has issues. So I want to say, try me. Or better yet, try God. Because our God is in the business of healing. Our God is in the business of recreating these marriages and redeeming them and resurrecting them. Marriages are hard. Struggles are hard. But God is bigger and greater than all of that. Our last verse for this morning, Ezekiel 36:26. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. I know I am talking to some of you that feel like your hearts maybe have become a little hardened. Or maybe you are feeling like there's been too much. It's been too long. There's too much water under the bridge. But I am telling you that God says no. That He can change our hearts. That He can change our marriages. That He can change our sex lives. And I am standing before you as personal proof that God heals. We have had many seasons in our marriage, Scott and I, that it has been difficult, but God heals when you're willing to yield it to Him. In the very next chapter, we see in Ezekiel that God takes a whole valley of dry bones and brings them back to life. He can take your valley and bring it back to life, but you have to be willing to give it over to him. We have to be willing to sacrificially yield to one another, to give these hurts, to give this power struggle, to give these things to God and let him do as he wants with it. Ladies, we are only responsible for our behavior, our choices, our words. But we have to be able to stand before God when it's our time to say, yes, Lord, I was obedient and I sacrificially yielded to you and to my husband. Because he can and he will resurrect our marriages. We have talked before over these past few weeks about the power that is in marriages, and that is so true. When God unites two people as one in mind, flesh, and spirit to be one, there is no stopping us. There is no stopping us. But there is a world out there that can if we let it. If we hang on to these hurts and we hang on to these things and don't turn them over to a God that will give us a new heart and new flesh. As Pastor and I were preparing this message this week, we talked about how important marriages are to us in this church and that we stand behind you. So this morning, we have made a time available. We have put the altars out here. We want our married couples to come forward. We want to anoint you. We want to pray over you. If you are celebrating years of a happy marriage, praise God. We want to celebrate that with you. We want to pray over you that continues and that God continues to bind you together. And maybe if you are here and there is an issue that you are having in your marriage, let us anoint you and pray over you for that. You do not need to tell the pastors this morning what is going on. We just want to anoint you and pray over you and let today be the beginning of a new heart in you, a renewed commitment to be mutually yielding and sacrificial in your devotion and your love to one another. So as we all stand together, let's worship, and couples come to whichever altar is closer, but we want our couples to come and our pastors are going to pray for you.